Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we'll continue reading from Srila Prabhupada's book. Book name is Rajvidya, and this is the last chapter. The chapter name is Action in Knowledge of Krishna. Action in the knowledge of Krishna. So we'll begin our today's reading. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. People are actually confused as to what is work, that's called karma, and what is not work, which is called akarma. Krishna here indicates that even great scholars, Kavaya is called scholars, are bewildered about the nature of work. They are also bewildered about the nature of work. What is work? What is karma and what is akarma? It is necessary to know which activities are genuine and which are not, which are bona fide and which are not, which are prohibited and which are not. If we understand the principle of work, we can become free from material bondage. It is therefore necessary to know how to conduct work so that when we leave the material body, we will no longer be forced to take another, but will be free to enter into the spiritual sky. The principle of proper work is clearly stated by Krishna in the last verse of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Mat karma kran mat paramo mat bhakta sanga varjitaha nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yasa mamiti pandava. Here Krishna is saying to Arjuna how one can come back to Krishna. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotion service, free from the contamination of previous activities. We have lot of previous contaminated activities, birth after birth, from millions and billions of the births, contaminated activities are there, which are sinful. Our sinful activities are there, which is piled up. So that can be free. How? One who engages in pure devotion service of Krishna. Only then one can become free from the contamination of all his previous activities. Not only this birth also our previous activities, previous sinful activities are there. Not only of this life, but the millions and millions of the life from time immemorial, the living entities are there in this material world, and there all sinful activities can be purified, can be freed just by one engaging in the devotion service of Lord Krishna, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. So, here is the test for every one of us, one who is engaged in devotion service. How now anyone can ask question, how I can go back home, back to Godhead, back to Krishna. So Krishna is giving here the answer, and this is the test for us. The first criteria is one has to engage in the pure devotional service unto Lord Krishna. And second criteria is who is friendly to every living entity. Here word is nirvairaha. Vairi means enemy. One who can thinks he is my enemy, My neighbor is my enemy, that person is my enemy. Here, nirvairaha, and not only to the human beings, to sarva bhuteshu. Sarva bhuteshu means to all the living entities, each and every species. There are 84 lakh species of forms are there in this material world. So out of that, 4 lakh are only human beings. 80 lakh other species. So for those species also, we have to act as a friendly, not wary, not a like no, nirvaira, nirmatsara. We should be. Then only this is the criteria, second criteria to go back home, back to God. This one verse is sufficient for understanding the essence of Bhagavad Gita. See, so beautifully Prabhupada is mentioning this is the only one verse is sufficient for understanding the entire essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses, 18 chapters, and the essence of all the 700 verse. Like essence means it is, Prabhupada gives him a beautiful example that you have some 10 liter of milk. So that milk you keep on boil, just go on boiling, boiling, boiling. And the end, after hours, 1 hour or 2 hour, you will get the essence. Essence is called the rabdi, condensed milk. So that condensed milk has the same quantity, the same actual quantity of the 10 liter of milk. It is not like you will get some half kg or 250 gram koa, the rabri, and that does not mean that 10 liter milk is not there. No, that just the half liter of rabri contains all the 10 liter milk. Exactly similarly, Prabhupada is saying this is only one verse sufficient for understanding the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And what is the essence of Bhagavad Gita? One has to engage in the service of Lord Krishna. How? Manmana, Bhavamad Bhakto, Madhyaji, Mam Namaskar. So, in this way, one has to engage in pure devotional service. And second criteria is one should be friendly to all the living entities, not only just human beings or not only my no children, my parents, my relatives, only friendly to my office colleagues. No, to each and every living entity, one has to be friendly. By the example of Arjuna, we are sorry, one must be engaged in my work. And what is this work? It is indicated in the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, in which Krishna tells Arjuna to surrender unto him. What is that verse? 18.66. Anyone can say? The verse indicate that Krishna is saying, Arjuna, surrender unto him. Surrender unto Krishna. That is the last instruction Lord Krishna is giving to Arjuna. The verse is
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is the verse. This is the last verse Krishna has told to Arjuna, and in this verse, the clear indication is giving how one can become free from all his sinful activities. So, by the example of Arjuna, we are to learn that we should only perform work which is sanctioned by Krishna. See here, Prabhupada is mentioning we have we should only perform work which is sanctioned by Lord Krishna. Even at the beginning, we saw that even the yogis, the scholars, they are bewildered about the nature of work. What is work? What is akarma? And what is not work? They are also, even though the big, great scholars, but still they are bewildered. And here, Prabhupada has given the answer for us. What is that answer? We should only perform work which is sanctioned by Krishna. This is the mission of human life. But we do not know it. Because of our ignorance, we engage in so much work which is connected with the bodily or material conception of life. At present, every one of us are engaged. Every one of us are working. But we are busy in what? We are not busy in work sanctioned by Krishna. That is the actual work one has to perform. But we are busy in the work the Krishna is not sanctioned. We are busy in working very hard. The work which is connected with our body, our mind, and entirely depend on all material conception of life. Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight, and although Arjuna did not want to fight, he fought because Krishna desired it. Arjuna says, Karishye Vachanam Tava. Why Krishna was saying, you must fight, you must perform your duty. Arjuna was denying to perform his duty. He wanted to give up the battlefield and go and take sannyas. So, after hearing complete instruction of Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna, Arjuna says, Karishye Vachanam Tava. And then he will fight. He fought because Krishna desired it. We have to learn to follow this example. What is that example? Of course, Krishna was present to tell Arjuna what is his work was. But what about us? The same question anyone can ask. No, Krishna had forgotten his work, and then, sorry, Arjuna had forgotten his work, and then Krishna reminded about his work. What was his work? But at present, how we'll know what is our work, what is karma, and what is akarma? So, Sri Krishna was personally directing Arjuna to act in such and such a way, but just because Krishna is not personally present before us, we should not assume that there is no direction. Indeed, there is direction. In the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the proper work which we are to perform is given. See, one can ask the question that how I can get the direction. Whenever we go for like no book distribution, the many people ask, no, for to direct Arjuna, Krishna was there personally, was present. Now who can guide us? Then what is the correct work? What is prohibited work? So here is the answer, which is given in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So we should open that verse and see. This is the verse. Ya idam paramam guhyam. Guhyam means is the confidential. Paramam guhyam. Paramam guhyam means it is most confidential. Ya idam paramam guhyam mat bhakteshu abhidashyati. Bhakti mai param krutva. Here Krishna is telling only bhakti mai param krutva mam evashyati asamshaya. Samshaya means doubt. We have so many doubts. If anybody tells friend or like no father or son tells, no, do this work and you'll get the result. But we will doubt on him. Will not have complete faith. But here Krishna is telling one has to be asamshaya. Mam evashyati asamshaya. न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन् मे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्य प्रियतरो भुवि. Translation goes like this: for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed. One who explains this supreme secret, this is not only secret, this is Paramam Guhyam. Paramam means the most, the supreme, Guhyam, secret. So whenever we know, most of the times we hesitate to go for book distribution. But how to attend that devotion service? Krishna is telling one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed. This is first result. Krishna is not stopping here. And at the end, he will come back to me. See, this is the highest result he'll get. One who goes and distributes the Bhagavad Gita book. This is the benefit you'll get. What you'll get? Two things. One is devotional services guaranteed for him. And the second thing is he will go back to Krishna. There is no servant in this world more dear to me. See, such a nice thing. How one can become dear to Lord Krishna just by distributing Bhagavad Gita. Why Bhagavad Gita? This is the supreme secret. And one who explains this. So there are multiple benefits. One is devotion service is guaranteed. He will go back to Krishna, and not only go back to Krishna, the most important thing, he will be more dear to Krishna. See, everyone wants to become dear to, like, no, Lord Krishna. So here is the secret of success. How to become dear to Krishna. Not like I will decorate Krishna gorgeously, I'll offer food, chapal bhog to Krishna in silver plate, or like, no, in gorgeous way. Okay, that is also fine. But here Krishna is telling there is no servant in this world, entire in this world, there is no servant who is more dear to me, who distribute this knowledge to others. And the one more important thing is, nor will there ever be one more dear. Not only he will become dear, there will be no one more dear than he who distributes. So, who is dear to Krishna has been explained in this word, in this verse. So, Prabhupada in one of the lectures, this verse quotes, and Prabhupada will explain this. In this verse, if you see, there is no purport in the Bhagavad Gita for this verse. Then one of the disciples asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why all the verses, almost all the verses has the purport for, and this is the most important verse, and why there is no purport. So Prabhupada will smile at him, and then Prabhupada will not explain why this is, but Prabhupada will tell that because one wants to become dear to Krishna, Prabhupada says, because one wants to become, sorry, if one wants to become dear to Krishna, this is the right method. This is the right method. And Prabhupada himself has shown this in like, by his setting an example, because he distributed this supreme secret throughout the world. Not only when he was staying in the Vrindavan, Prabhupada used to go to Delhi and distribute this knowledge, distribute back to Godhead magazines and the first version of Bhagavad Gita. no, is to distribute. But Prabhupada has distributed the supreme secret of knowledge to entire world, and he is the more dear to Krishna. So one who wants to approach Krishna has to take shelter to the person who is dear to Krishna. So that is our process. So one has to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master. So we'll continue. It is therefore incumbent upon us to preach the method of Bhagavad Gita and make people Krishna consciousness. See, this is our duty to preach Bhagavad Gita and make people Krishna consciousness. No, we have been benefited by the mercy of Prabhupada. So this mercy we should distribute to others. People are actually suffering for want of this knowledge, this Krishna consciousness. We should all engage in spreading the science of Krishna for the benefit of the whole world. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with this mission and teaching Krishna consciousness. And he said that regardless of one's position, if he teaches Krishna consciousness, he is to be considered a spiritual master. He is to be considered as a spiritual master. Here Prabhupada is saying spiritual master. What kind of spiritual master? He a Shiksha Guru, one who gives Shiksha. Both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are filled with information on how to become Krishna conscious. We don't need to search no in Google or somewhere in the library how I can become Krishna conscious. One has to just read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. There is the abundance of information how I can become a Krishna conscious. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu selected these two books and requested that people in all corners of the world spread the science of Krishna in every town and village. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself, and we should take this to be Krishna's indication of our proper work. What is our proper work? Here it is indicated our proper work is to distribute this knowledge by distributing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. But we should be very careful to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, without personal interpretation or motivation. One should not have any motivation behind it. Some people present interpretations of Bhagavad Gita, but we should present the words as they are spoken by Sri Krishna. One who works for Krishna may appear to be working like anyone else in the material world, but this is not the case. So here, Prabhupada is mentioning one who works for Krishna appears to be working like anyone else in the material world. Just to understand this, Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. See, Acharyas, this is the one of the quality that Acharyas, they will teach with an example to understand this. And the example is very beautifully Prabhupada explains that cat and the cat carries a kitten in its mouth. And the same cat in the same mouth, it carries the rat also. So the kitten is feeling very safe. It is very, very safe in the mouth of cat. But the rat, it is experiencing a death in the same mouth, in the same teeth. The cat is holding both kitten and rat. But Kitten is feeling very safe, whereas the rat is not feeling the safe. It is feeling death. So Krishna can act as a death personified also for people who are not working in devotion service. So one who is engaged in devotion service and one who is not engaged in devotion service may appear both. Like for like no example given, cat is carrying kitten also and rat also. People will think it is no, it is the same. No, it is not the same. Kitten is feeling very safe, whereas the rat is not feeling safe. Arjuna may have fought just like an ordinary military man, but because he fought in Krishna consciousness, he was free from the entanglement of his activities. In this way, his work, although appearing material, was not material at all. Any action sanctioned by Krishna, regardless of what it may be, has no reaction. Here, any work, any action, any work is sanctioned by Krishna. When the work is sanctioned by Krishna, it has no reaction. See, many scholars, no, people are bewildered what is work, what is not work, which is sanctioned work, which is not sanctioned work, which is sinful, which is not sinful. So here, example is Krishna, instructed Arjuna to fight. So it may appear that no, Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight, kill all the people. It is not only soldiers, it is big Maharathis, Atirathis, his brothers, his grandfather, his own teacher is standing in front of him, and Krishna is saying, shoot arrow at them and kill them. So it may appear it is a sinful act, but here Prabhupada is giving very nice. Fighting may not be very nice thing, but sometimes, as in the case of the battle of Kurukshetra, it is absolutely necessity. On the other hand, we may perform work which may be very altruistic or humanitarian in the opinion of the world and yet be bound to material activity. So it is not the action itself which is most important, but the consciousness is in which the action is carried out. See, we must be like, no, we may be doing some great charitable activities. No, I'm doing, serving these many people in the hospital, and I'm doing this much humanitarian work. No, but this has the reaction. You're bound to it. But when the action is performed on the order of Krishna, there is no reaction for it. So here is the verse. Karmano hi कर्मणो हि बोधव्यम च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोधव्यम गहना कर्मणो गतिः. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what is action, what is forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So this is must applicable for all the civilized human being. One should know this. If one doesn't know this, then he is not different from an animal. See, if you put one dog to a prison house, just lock it in the house, the dog will not question why somebody has locked me in the room, somebody has locked me in the prison. No, it cannot question. You just go on giving food to the dog in the room. It will go and it will eat happily. It will leave. Same thing if you do with a human being, a person. If you lock in one room, put him in the prison house, and you go on giving him food. And if he's feeling, no, no, I'm getting food, I'm happier, then he is no better than a dog. Because dog is not, he cannot question it. He is happy, whatever he is getting his food, is eating and happily living there. But this is not the same, should not be the same for a human being. Human being must ask question, why I am here? What wrong I have done? And what is my action? So, and what is my forbidden action bit? What forbidden action I have done and which I should avoid to come here? So, this material world is compared to a prison house. It is not compared to a prison house, it is actually prison house. If we see our neighbors, if they're happy, they're working very hard, they're getting three, food, three times eating, sleeping, and if they're happy in that life, that means they are no better than a animal. Why? Because a dog cannot question why I'm here. Even though I'm suffering, I know that, but still a dog cannot question it. Even though a human being is civilized, so-called civilized, but still he is acting as a dog. It is actually as good as acting as an animal. If I'm not asking any question regarding what is my action, what is the forbidden actions, what is my work, what is the forbidden work. So here is the test one, who is actually human being and what who is actually animal. We can see here. The path of karma is very intricate. The path of karma is very intricate. Therefore, we should understand the distinctions between karma, akarma, and vikarma. If we simply engage in Krishna consciousness, everything becomes clear. If we simply engage in Krishna consciousness, it may be akarma, it can be vikarma, it can be karma. No need to worry. Just if you are engaged in Krishna's service. So it's everything clear. Otherwise, we will have to make distinctions between what we should do, what we should not do, in order not to become entangled in the ordinary course of life. We unknowingly break some law and have to suffer the consequences. What is the example? Like when you're driving, so there is red signal means a civilized human being has to stop his vehicle. He has to wait till the green signal comes. And in the same next to you, beside one cow or one a dog is walking, it will not stop, even though there is a red signal. So recently we were traveling, and then there was signal in the signal. We stopped our vehicle. And next to, I was just watching from the window that there were few bike people, no? They were driving the bike, and there was red signal, but still they were moving on. They were not stopped. So what is difference in these people and the dog or the cow is walking and there is red signal is there? It is no not seeing, it is just going. So there is no difference. In day to day our activities we can see all these things, and we can compare who is actually civilized. Even though we are so called civilized, Rupert says, even though we are so called civilized, but we are walking in we are four-legged animal. One who is going in car, Prabhupada says, even he is so-called civilized, but he is a four-legged animal. Similarly, the laws of nature are very strict and stringent, and they accept no excuse. The laws of nature are very strict. You do not have any excuse. And here is the example. It is the law of nature that fire burns. The law of nature is what? Fire burns. And even if a child touches it, he will be burned despite his ignorance and innocence. A child is very innocent, very ignorant. But if he's putting finger in the fire will not say, no, 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 this is small child and this is very ignorant. No, the fire's stringent, the strict law is to burn. Either it may be child, a younger, a older, whoever it may be, it will burn. The laws of nature will act. Even despite his ignorance or innocence, it doesn't matter. Actions are very carefully lest the stringent laws of nature react to bind us to suffering. It is therefore necessary to understand what work to do and what work to avoid. The word karma refers to prescribed duties. The word vikarma refers to activities which are against one's prescribed duties, and the word karma refers to activities which have no reaction at all. In the execution of akarmic activities, there may be appear to be some reactions, but in actuality, there are not. When we work under the directions of Krishna, this is actually the case. There are no reactions. If we take it upon ourselves to kill someone, we are subject to capital punishment by the state government. Here is one more beautiful example. If we kill someone by ourselves, by our own way, our, no, uh, will kill, say, then it is punishable act. Our action is punishable. Our actions are then called, these are called vikarma, because it is not authorized by anyone, for they are against prescribed actions. If, however, the government dropped us into the army and we engage in battle and kill someone, we do not suffer the reactions. We do not suffer the reactions. Killing is the same. If government authorized the army person and tell him to shoot, kill him, and when the government is not authorized and we kill someone by ourselves, then it is karma that has the reaction. But on the order of government, if we kill a army person kills, he does not no need to suffer for the reaction, and this is called a karma. In the one case we are acting according to our own whim, and in other we are acting under the direction of the government. Similarly, when we act under the direction of Krishna, our actions performed are called akarma. For that action has no reaction. कर्मणि कर्मणि अकर्माय पश्चेत् अकर्मणि च कर्मयः स बुद्धिमान मनुष्येषु स युक्तं कृत्स्न कर्म कृत्. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position. Although engaged in all sorts of activities, one who can actually see that despite activities there are no karmic reactions, who understands the nature of a karma, actually sees things as they are. The word akarmani refers to one who is trying to avoid the reactions of karma. By totaling his activities in Krishna consciousness, although one may perform all kinds of activities, he is free. Who is free? One who is acting in Krishna consciousness. We should know this very, very careful. The most important thing is, if I'm acting in Krishna consciousness, then only I am free. if I'm not acting in Krishna consciousness, even though that work is very pious work, very humanitarian work, I may be giving so many things in charity, so many people I'll be feeding, but the action is not performed in Krishna consciousness, then that action binds work. That work once binds. On the battle for Kurukshetra, Arjuna engaged in fighting, and those on the side of Duryodhana also engaged in fighting. See here, Krishna also engaged in fighting, and Arjuna also engaged in fighting, and Duryodhana also engaged in fighting. We must understand how is that Arjuna is free from action reactions, whereas Duryodhana is not. Externally, we can see that both parties are engaged in fighting, but we should understand that Arjuna is not bound by reactions because he is fighting under the order of Krishna. Thus, when we see someone working in Krishna consciousness, we should understand that his work does not carry any reaction. One who can see such work and understand it is to be considered very intelligent. Sa Buddhi Man. The technique is not so much in saying what a person is doing, but in understanding why he is doing it. The work when we is doing, it is not that who is doing, what he is doing. No, one has to understand why he is doing. He is doing on behalf of Krishna, whether it is authorized work. If it is unauthorized work, then he is bound to get the reaction. Either it may be pious work, impious work. For the pious work, you will be bound to the piety. You will get piety. And for impious work, obviously we'll get sin. So today we'll finish, stop here for today's reading the book Rajvidya, chapter 7, and we are almost at the sorry at the end of this chapter. So next week we'll continue with this remaining portion and then with a different book. Thank you. Hare Krishna. विश्व गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण.